Ram, the name that bestows ultimate liberation. Ram, the name chanted for millennia by yogis, saints, and sages as they strove for the realization of truth. Ram, Raghukul Bhushan, Kaushalya Dasharath Nandan, Janaki Vallabh, Maryada Purushottam, King of Ayodhya.
जहाँ बसहु सिय लखन समीता.
The name Ram has reverberated in the land of Bharat for many thousands of years. The great beings who realized the deepest meaning of Ram knew it as Brahman, the pure consciousness, infinite and undying. The devotees know Ram as the most adorable child who causes raptures of joy in all around him, and as the most benevolent and kind Lord who lifts the drowning beings out of the ocean of samsara and who plays in all the hearts, Ramayati iti Ramaha, bringing them the highest peace and the ultimate bliss. Rama is not only the darling of devotees, but is also strongly associated with Jnana Yoga through the Yoga Vashisht, one of the most important Jnana Yoga texts, which is a conversation between Ram and his guru, sage Vashisht. As a human being, Sri Ram was Maryada Purushottam, the ultimate embodiment of virtue. He was the ideal king, son, husband, and brother, upholding righteousness and setting the highest example of right living. The message of Sanatana Dharma, through all the great beings of Bharat, has always been to show that divinity can be found within and is the potential of each human being. Rama and others have been cherished through the ages because they have been examples and reminders of this. The most loved king of Bharat to this day, we talk of Ram Rajya as the ideal state of governance and the ideal society. Ram Rajya is described as an idyllic, golden age never before or again seen in any part of the world. In the whole of Rama's realm, there was no one who suffered from bodily pains, ill fortune, or evil circumstances. Every man loved his neighbor, and, contented with the state of life to which he had been born, conformed to sound morality and the teaching of scripture. The 4 pillars of dharma were established throughout the world. No one even dreamt of sin. Men and women alike were devoted to Rama's worship and enjoyed the blessings of highest heaven. There was no sickness and no premature death. Everyone was trim and sound of body. No one was in poverty, in sorrow, or in distress. No one was ignorant or unlucky. All men and women were naturally good and pious, clever and intelligent. Everyone appreciated the merits of his neighbor and was himself learned and wise. Everyone was grateful for kindness and sincerely prudent. Ramcharitramanas, Uttarakanda. Bhagwan Sri Ram's life was full of trials and tribulations, from a 14-year exile in the forest to the war with Ravan and separation from Sita and his sons. But through it all, he was calm, poised, and did what was the most appropriate thing in the given situation. He repeatedly cast aside his own personal comforts and agendas in favor of the dharma and the highest ideal, and in so doing showed not only the people of his kingdom, but the whole world for millennia to come, how to move through life with equanimity, not perturbed by misfortune or too elated by good fortune. So beloved was he of the people that it is said that all the residents of Ayodhya wanted to accompany Ram on his forest exile, and indeed all of them did follow him when he shed his mortal coil by taking Jal Samadhi in the river Sarayu. When he returned from his exile, the people of Ayodhya welcomed him by lighting his way with millions of diyas, what we today celebrate as Diwali. The name Ram is intrinsically connected with the consciousness of the people of Bharat. It is a name that echoes in its streets and villages, whether joyously as Jai Shri Ram, in greeting as Ram Ram, or at funeral chantings as Ram Naam Satya Hai. The name of Ram is the truth. Ram is not only the beloved Lord and the most adored divine king in our civilizational history, but Ram lives in the minds and hearts of not only the people of Bharat, but many across the world as a source of joy, strength, peace, and above all, a reminder of the highest human attainment. Sanatana Dharma, being the eternal law, not bound to time, Rama is both in time and beyond, inside and outside. Ram Rajya is both an historical period and a state achievable in any age. The opportunity and invitation to rise to Ram and Ram Rajya is always open if we strive. Some say Prabhu Sri Ram was born around 7,000 years ago. Some say much earlier. The earliest texts that are in existence that make mention of the life of Ram are the Ramayana and Mahabharata. The history of Ayodhya goes back much earlier as being the capital of the legendary Ikshvaku dynasty in which Sri Ram took birth. Through the millennia, the birthplace of Ram continued to be observed as a place of reverence and pilgrimage. But then were to begin the brutal invasions that terrorized and ravaged Bharat for over 1,000 years, from roughly the 7th to the 17th centuries. A civilization that had scaled the peaks not only of spiritual attainment, but in every area of life, from mathematics to astronomy to medicine, art, economics, and more, now faced wave after wave after wave of bloody onslaught from marauding, barbaric invaders. As the invaders inched eastwards into the country, they left utter destruction in their wake. According to historian K.S. Lal, 60 to 80 million Hindus were killed during the invasions between 1000 to 1525 CE alone, making it the biggest Holocaust in the world ever. In 1528, Barbar, the descendant of Timur and Genghis Khan from Uzbekistan, who had managed to gain control over large regions of northern Bharat, invaded Ayodhya, and his army generals destroyed the Rama Janmabhoomi temple and established a structure there dedicated to their emperor. What happened to the Rama Janmabhoomi temple happened to tens, if not hundreds of thousands of temples across Bharat. The marauding invaders were ruthless in their rampage, decimating entire villages, killing men, women, and children, raping women and selling millions of them into slavery. In the battles with Muhammad Ghazni alone, 2 million Hindus lost their lives. 50,000 of these died unsuccessfully defending the Somnath temple and its 6.5 tons of gold. The temple was to be looted and destroyed many more times by different Islamic invaders. Of one invader in the early 15th century, Sultan Ahmad Shah, it is said that he overran the open country and wherever he went, put to death men, women, and children without mercy. Whenever the number of slain reached 20,000, he halted 3 days and made a festival celebration of the bloody event. It was the most bloody and persistent attack that any civilization had ever faced. It was not only a battle for the land of Bharat, but an attack on its civilization and culture. All attempts were made to destroy important structures, from the Nalanda library that was so large that it burned for a full 3 months, to the thousands of magnificent, rich and lavish temples all across Bharat. Hindus started to worship at the Rama Janmabhoomi temple at a mud platform in the late 1500s, but were again thwarted by Aurangzeb, who banned them from doing so. A 7-day battle was fought, which the Hindus lost. Enlisting the help of Sikh Guru Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the Muslim army was defeated and Rama Janmabhoomi regained, but only for a short while, before the temple was again attacked and seized, and the battles and struggles over it continued. Over the next 500 years, the Hindus made desperate attempts to reclaim the birthplace of their beloved Ram, hundreds losing their lives in the process. Though we ached for the temple, Ram remained securely enshrined in our hearts. While the sacred temple was locked for our own use, in a little hut on the ghats of Ganga, one of the greatest devotional poems, the Ramcharitmanas, was being penned by the great Rama devotee Sant Goswami Tulsidas. Saints and gurus like Ramanand, Ravidas, Samartha Ramdas, and Kabir taught people how to find Ram within. The beautiful melodies of the devotional compositions of Bhadrachalan Ramadasa and Tyagaraja for their Ishtadev Ram rang out across the country as they searched within themselves for their beloved Ram and rebuilt his broken temples outside.
పలుకే బంగారమాయే పిలచీన పలుకవేమి పలుకే బంగారమాయే పిలచీన పలుకవేమి కలలోని నామస్మరణ మరువా చక్కని స్వామి పలుకే బంగారమాయనా.
And Ram was on our lips in the years leading up to 1947 as we won freedom from the British, led by a frail old man who was constantly chanting the name of Ram. And so we have arrived here at this present moment with the sacrifice of millions of our forefathers and with the strength of firm devotion, with tears of both sorrow and bhakti, with the courage to fight for dharma, with patience, control, poise and understanding, with maryada, exemplified by our beloved Sri Ram. A civilization pierced in its very heart center that still survived because its heart was not a physical but always a spiritual heart. Now its heart is being restored. Ram has arrived in Ayodhya.